The next question will be for Matt Love. Over the course of this campaign, the NDP has made several significant promises aimed at improving healthcare, education, and affordability. These include promises to hire more healthcare workers, more teachers, and more police officers, and provide relief for households and businesses facing high costs. Mr. Love, can you explain how an NDP government would pay for these promises without increasing personal taxes, increasing taxes and fees on our businesses and industries, or adding to the budget deficit?
It's a great question. It really is the question that many voters are asking themselves in this election. Do we in Saskatchewan deserve to be in last place in healthcare in the country? Do we deserve to have the lowest per student funding in the entire country? And can we do better? The answer today, yes, we can. We absolutely can do better. And Carla Beck and the Saskatchewan NDP will deliver on this. We have a plan that's been fully costed. All of our commitments, including a commitment to not raise your taxes, has been developed and signed off by one of the most well-respected economists in our province over the last 30 to 40 years. Mr. Ron Stiles has been the Deputy Minister of Finance. He's been the CEO of SaskTel, the CEO of the Crown Investment Corporation. He's been managing billion-dollar budgets for this province for decades, and he's signed off on our plan. He's signed off on a plan that will not raise your taxes, that will invest in the things that matter to get Saskatchewan out of last place in healthcare and education, and to help grow our economy to afford those key investments. This plan does not include any tax increases. In fact, our plan will lower costs for Saskatchewan families, including taking the PST off of your grocery bill and off of children's clothing. Two key things that are not luxuries, those are necessities. We'll also cut the fuel tax for a 6-month period to save Saskatchewan people money every time they fill their tanks. This plan uses the latest numbers, the first quarter update from the 2023-2024 audited financial statements to forecast revenues and expenses. It's a solid plan, and viewers can learn more on our website at saskndp.ca.
Thank you. Mr. Harrison, you now have 1 minute to rebut Mr. Love's response.
Yeah, this is actually interesting. The full costing that was done, and I have to point this out, was actually done by one of their staff members. So remarkable that being the costing authority on any of this. The reality is that there is a massive hole in the NDP budget, to the point where this is really not a serious proposal. $3 billion hole, and I can tell you, having been on Treasury Board for many, many years, you don't just find $3 billion. And there were a number of assumptions that were in their costing document that are just ludicrous. $800 million increase in revenue from what's being projected by the Ministry of Finance right now, including, this is probably my favorite one, a gas tax cut, which Mr. Love referenced, which would cost $260 million. Go to their costing document. They have that accounted for with $62.5 million, which is there's only one option for that. It means that they're cutting the highways budget for the remainder of it. So there are a number of other matters that aren't even costed in their platform, including their health commitment.
Thank you. Mr. Love, you now have 30 seconds for your final response.
It's pretty rich coming from a Sask Party representative who missed their budget projections by $2 billion last year alone. The fact is that the Sask Party are not good managers of our public finances. We don't have a revenue problem in Saskatchewan. The Sask Party has added PST to everything imaginable. They've made life more expensive. We do not have a revenue problem. We have a management problem. We have a management problem that has led our province to last in the country in healthcare outcomes.
The next question, Mr. Harrison, is going to keep with that theme of budgeting. And over the past several years, it's fair to say the managing the provincial finances have been challenging in the sense that there's been difficulty sustaining a balanced provincial budget and paying down provincial debt, even while maintaining and expanding revenue streams such as the PST into areas such as construction-related labor and services, areas such as the restaurant and entertainment sector. In that context, what should give voters the confidence that the Saskatchewan Party has effectively costed out its own plans and will be strong managers of Saskatchewan's finances and in turn, the economic opportunity ahead of us?
No, I appreciate the question. And the budget is costed. I mean, we have about $1 billion increase over the next 4 years, which is entirely manageable and within the projections of the Department of Finance as far as revenue. The last two budgets were balanced here in this province as well. Small deficit projected this year. We have the second highest credit rating amongst any of the provinces in Canada. We've retired $2.5 billion in debt over the course of the last year. And I think it's fair to say that rating agencies across the country, around the world, see Saskatchewan as a very, very sustainable jurisdiction from a fiscal perspective. And that's something we've worked hard to get to. And I can tell you this, over the last 17 years sitting in the legislature as well, I have never once heard the NDP stand up and say, you need to get rid of this, that, or the other thing. The only thing that you ever hear from the NDP is you need to spend giant amounts of money more on every single issue of the day. This is not a party that is putting forward a credible platform. This is not a party that is putting forward in any way, shape, or form a credible fiscal framework that has been massively, would run a massive deficit. They would if they were ever to form government, or they would just not undertake or keep any of their commitments. So all of these things are deeply problematic, and to see the commitments made by the NDP are just not responsible. They're not reasonable. They're not sustainable. What we have put forward really is very sustainable: a significant personal income tax cut, a number of other benefits, including the small and medium-sized enterprise investment tax credit. These are things that have been costed out, that are fully accounted for in our platform, that will result in further economic growth. And that is always what our objective is, because economic growth is what pays for all of the other things: healthcare, education, highways. That can only be paid for with a growing economy, and that's what our commitment is.
Mr. Love, 1 minute to respond.
Well, I'll tell you what's not responsible in the answer that we just heard. We've heard a lot of fear mongering, a lot of, throwing a little bit of dirt here. And what I say to that is, I don't think it's responsible to the people of Saskatchewan to leave our healthcare system in the shape it's in. And a couple of days ago, we heard Scott Moe say that he's going to continue doing what's working in healthcare. My jaw hit the floor when I heard that. Anybody who's got a family member, a loved one, a neighbor who works in healthcare knows that it's not working. Anybody who's been to a hospital in Saskatoon and seen fire code violations at St. Paul's Hospital or RUH at 350% capacity, they know that what they're doing isn't working. Now, at the same time, this is a premier who's added more debt to Saskatchewan than any premier in the history of our province. On the day Scott Moe became premier, the debt was $17 billion. Today, it's over $31 billion. This is a management problem. Carla Beck, the Saskatchewan NDP, will fix it.
And Mr. Harrison, you have the final 30 seconds on this issue.
Yeah, no, as I said, I mean, the NDP platform is just not reasonable. It has a $3 billion costing hole in it. We have, just in the last 2 years, we paid down $2.5 billion. And remember that we had to govern through COVID as well. And that was a significant challenge. We had significant expenses that went along with that. But we're in a position right now, because of a growing economy, to be reinvesting. Into education, an 8% increase in this last budget, into healthcare, over a 10% increase. And that is only possible with a growing economy, and that's going to continue to be our focus.